Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video, well, it's a little bit different because we don't normally have this happen too often with characters, but I did do a first look on a character yesterday, Pippy. You should see a little pop-up coming up in your top right hand corner. That's going to give you the fundamentals of the character, you know, how a lot of the technical side of her works. We're talking about her visuals, stat balance, all that good stuff. This is talking about one slight change that has come in. After the initial video that I made, I saw that she was a disarm specialist. I was not really sure how that could really work into her kit. I asked you guys how you thought it could work. A lot of people didn't really know how that would work. Apparently it was all over Discord. Scope people obviously getting messages like, why is she a disarm, so on and so forth. So they've decided to change her disarm specialist skill to Bide 2. So it is going to be an update to that specialist skill, obviously. Bide 2 means that this character stores damage it takes from attacks, as you know. But this is the second upgrade. It's based on 30% of the character's max HP. And they deal 150% back of that stored damage to an enemy immediately. Basically, the last enemy that hits them, that triggers the max of their Bide, will be the one that takes the amount of damage. They can obviously just do the defend action and use their Bide whenever they want. So let's say someone's at 100 HP and they've got a very small amount of Bide, they could use the defense action. Now this is obviously going to come in really useful with Pippy in particular because of her rush. If you remember from that video that I showed yesterday, she taunts 5 enemies extremely quickly and she'll taunt them into Bide 2. Now there is the downside of this in that she will obviously be doing attack down on those characters, but it's still going to be potentially 5 enemies attacking you, and that's still going to add to the Bide that you're storing up. It's also going to last for 3 turns, that on top of things. So just a quick example of how she's going to work. If we focus her, obviously she's got her weapon where she's going to give 30 AP to herself and to other characters. So you attack the command just to not attack her herself. But the next turn she's going to do her active and she's going to be commanded herself. So there's not much we can do about that. Obviously we could stop things. We could try and stop things with Michonne's active. But this is just to show you how the Bide's going to work. She's going to taunt people into the Bide, and you can see the orange meter on the right hand side of her HP bar is just filling up. It just went up by a quarter from 5 basic attacks, but on minus 75% attack. Obviously that's going to fill up quicker if she's not getting the taunted attacks, but you can see it's going up higher and higher and higher every time. All the characters are getting AP because of her weapon. And then obviously there's going to be 5 characters in there. So there's going to be like Mr. Lou's rushing. There's going to be more dangerous characters rushing. But I just want to show you effectively this Bide's going to go off against somebody eventually. It's going to be the first attack of the next taunt. Who's it going to be? I'm going to guess it's going to be Michonne. Who's it going to be? Taunt's going to come in. Oh, it's going to be Ivanova, and that's going to be like 1,800 damage in this case. And it's just going to keep going. Obviously, I'm completely locked in because of no taunt resist here. If you did have, let's say, someone who had an active like Ivanova here, you could do a taunt resist mod on Ivanova, and you could break this for your entire team by doing her active. But that Bide's always going to be an issue. Always going to be stocking up damage onto that Bide. And even if she doesn't get her rush off and she's controlled, she's just eventually going to wear out my team here. But again, Flea Button's going to be coming in very useful. If eventually she does get controlled and she cannot do that rush, her Bide's always going to be there in the background. When you have increased amount of damage output, unless you can one-shot her, she's likely to hit you with a Bide attack, basically. And remember, it's 30% of your HP. So let's say you get her HP up to 10,000. She loses 3,000 HP. She'll deal 4,500 damage. That's how it goes. She loses 30% of her HP when it stores up. She deals that 150% back to whoever does that last bit of damage. So potentially there's going to be some kill potential in teams that she goes on, and I think that could be quite useful in mainly heavy teams for people who don't have Georgia, because Georgia was a War of Champions exclusive character. This is a big problem within heavy teams right now. There's not many characters that have kill potential in that team other than, let's say, Morgan. And I do think that Pippy is a better Bide character than Morgan. I think, is Morgan Bide 2? I think he might be Bide 2, but I think Pippy's better because her rush is just obviously much more dangerous. Just as simple as that. Her rush is much more dangerous. Or a Marge team. You could put her on a Marge team. She could work in that team. Mr. Lou obviously is going to be quite good in those teams, and he's quite accessible in terms of kill potential. But Pippy's just going to add to that on top. So Definitely much better than disarm in terms of how the kit works. I did say at the end of my video yesterday I was kind of happy that it wasn't anything too extreme, because the rest of her kit was very powerful. She has a very good rush. Her active obviously works nice, and her weapon can be devastating if you get caught in that loop and you do not have a disarm. But now she's got Bide on top, so I don't really see any weak points within her kit. The only problem you can maybe say is that because of how her rush works and the minus 75% attack, it's not as effective as Bide could be, but it's still going to work. It is still going to work. You could potentially manipulate that and make her have lower HP and really high defense, or just gear out her kit in a certain way. You could double down on resists on her on defense and not worry too much about her defensive stats, just so that, you know, you can manipulate that Bide a little bit more. Obviously, all that's in your hands. If you get your hands on her, you'll be able to, you know, work that out a little bit more. There's going to be that perfect balance that someone's going to find out, no doubt. But I think for a defensive team character, I think most people would definitely say that Bide 2 is more dangerous than disarm. At least when they look at that character, they can see the viability with the full kit, being on a defense team, adding kill potential like I've already said. It is obviously nice. I think they could potentially make a disarm that works more defensively, so it's like cannot be disarmed by weapons when you're attacked by like stun on attack and stuff. So rather than the current way disarm works is where, like, if I've got a disarm alpha and I attack someone with stun on defense, it is actually impossible to be stunned on defense by that character while my disarm is actually in like working order. If I get normalized, that's when I could potentially get, you know, stunned on defense. That's the only time. I think that could be kind of cool. So like only rushes and actives could disarm this particular character. It wouldn't be too OP, but it'd be kind of interesting. So stun on attack teams would be less effective. And it wouldn't be a resist either, so it wouldn't proc trauma. That is actually something to think about. That'd be kind of a cool one. But yeah, this is a new edition of Pippy. Small change, but how big an impact will it have? I think, like I said already, most people will probably see it as quite an effective change to how this character works. If you do want to find out more how Pippy works in terms of her rush, her active, her weapon, like I said earlier in the video, I did make a first look preview of the main kit. Just remember that her disarm now has been changed to Bide 2. So when I do go over the disarm bit and I'm just like, this could probably be better if it was something else, well, it now is. That is going to be the end of my video today, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.